Welcome to Season 2 of the 2025 season. We kick it off here at Bathurst in the Mazda MX-5 series, actually the Advanced Mazda MX-5 series. So starting it off today is the number 7 Castrol Mazda of Sean DeVore. He put down an impressive time of 2:33.8 in qualifying. All right, we've got a green flag now, and kicking it off, it's a really good start by that number 7 Castrol Mazda as he takes the lead handily, gets a really good jump into Hell Corner, and leads off the pack with Pedro Rodriguez in tow. Yuri Exposito following up in third, and CJ Kent is still in fourth as they head up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend. Pedro Rodriguez is very tight on the bumper of Sean DeVore as they head into Griffin's Corner. Now, this is an important turn. If you're not familiar with it, it can be really dangerous, especially on cold tires. A lot of times guys will lose that rear end coming around there or push straight through it if they miss their braking point. But everyone seems to have made it through pretty cleanly, and we're coming up through the cutting. And Sean DeVore is still in the lead, followed by Pedro Rodriguez, Yuri Exposito, and CJ Kent close in tow. Now, as they continue up the mountain, they'll be coming around towards Skyline. Now, as you come through Skyline, through the Dipper and down towards Forest Elbow, it's a really, really important part of the track. It's very fast. You can actually get some really good draft coming through this area, but it's very dangerous if you're trying to make passes through here. If you make a mistake, it's going to cost you probably big time down through here, especially as you're coming down through the Dipper. And it's important to make a really good exit through the Dipper down towards Forest Elbow and the S's here. So let's watch how they do here. Sean DeVore comes in really tight, makes a really good exit. The number 10 car goes a little wide, but that might cost him. But keep in mind, down through the long straightaway here, even if you're a half second behind, you can actually feel that toe pulling you along. So you can make up a lot of ground down through here, even if you didn't get the greatest turn. But if you make a mistake, you can lose a ton of time down this back straightaway headed towards towards Murray's Corner, which is the final turn. So you'll come through the S's here. Sean DeVore makes a good turn, gets up on the apron just a little bit, makes a good turn cleanly through there, headed down towards Murray's Corner now. And coming into Murray's Corner, out around, makes a really good exit, and Sean DeVore will lead the very first lap. Looks like there's trouble. That number 2 car had a mistake, and the number 12 plowed right into him. So that's our first accident of the day. But back to the lead. Sean DeVore still in the lead pretty handily right now. He's got control of this race with Pedro Rodriguez, Exposito, and Kent still following closely behind. Now that number 7 car, he's leading the way right now, and he's got plenty on his mind. He's controlling the pace right now, but Bathurst demands perfection on every lap. So, but yeah, he knows all too well how unforgiving this place can be. Earlier in a race, he was in a prime spot for victory in second place, only to make a costly mistake on the final lap coming through the Dipper. Lost the rear end, clipped the wall, and basically ruined his race. Wound up all the way back in 14th over one mistake. Now, as they come down through the Conrad Straight, Sean DeVore is still leading, but we've got the number 10 car of Pedro Rodriguez bearing down on him really hard, but it looks like he's going to stay in line and hold on to that draft, maybe try to try to put a little distance between the 1 and 2 positions and the number 3 and 4 positions, but it's still pretty hard because that number 3 position is close enough. He's going to stay right tucked up underneath them, so they're not going to gain a whole lot. But that number 4 position is actually dropping back just a little bit. So as they come through the final chicane coming towards Murray's Bend, it's still Sean DeVore in the lead. Because as you can see, Rodriguez is lurking and at any moment could strike to make a pass. So we'll keep an eye on that number 2 and number 3 position. Now the first 4 positions have seemed to break away from the rest of the pack, which is really good news for the top 4 because you get behind here and it's going to be really hard for anybody to make a pass or catch up. We're into lap number 3 now with Sean DeVore still leading the way. Gets a good turn coming up the mountain. Still the top 4 positions, DeVore, Rodriguez, Exposito, and Kent. Looks like number 10 might be trying to make a move here. Coming out wide. No, he tucks it back in, but I tell you, they are right on DeVore's rear end, so I could see anything happening through here, and this is an extremely dangerous place to be trying to pass. Headed down towards the Dipper. DeVore's still in the lead, but they look like they're getting a little bit racy behind him, so he needs to definitely watch his rear end. Through the Dipper cleanly, all 4 cars still right there together. As they come through Forest Elbow, DeVore makes a good turn, gets a little wide, but still doesn't seem to lose a whole lot of time. That number, I see, 10 car looks like, no, not the number 10 car. I don't know which car it was, but it looked, I thought I caught a glimpse of him popping the wall, so he's going to definitely fall back a little bit. But the number 7, the number 10 car, they are definitely hooked up going down Conrad straight. So it looks like he's going to stay tucked in behind him. What I could see happening there is if they could do it, make a gap between him and the number 3 and 4 car, and maybe hold off and try to make a pass later in the race. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, this racetrack is very, very sketchy sometimes, so anything is possible. Coming through Murray's Bend to complete 3 laps in this 30-minute race. DeVore is still on top. As they climb the mountain again, DeVore's car looks settled, smooth inputs, no sign of real panic here. So he looks like he is in position to control the race, but he knows how quickly things can unravel. Looks like he put a little distance between him coming through that turn right there, and the 2, 3, and 4 spots are still right there with him, though. Anything is possible. These guys are running today, though. They've definitely taken out a good gap on the number 6 or number 5 spot. Number 5 spot looks like he's about 7 seconds back now. And it's early on in the race, so getting back behind by that much, if these guys don't make mistakes, it's going to be really hard for anybody that far back to make any kind of ground up. But that number 7 car of Sean DeVore, man, he does look strong today. I think if he can keep it clean, I think he's going to be hard to beat. And back through Forest's Elbow onto Conrad Straight, and all 4 cars come through cleanly, and they have put a huge gap now on all of the other cars We're still looking at about 7.3 seconds back to number 5 position. So the top 4 cars have really are just pulling away from this thing. I tell you, I'm really impressed by the way number 10 is just being patient. He's staying back there in second place. Doesn't appear to be in too big of a hurry to make a pass and get out front, because it's too easy to lose that top position once you're in it, especially coming down some of these straightaways. Lots and lots of speed for the cars in the back behind the leader. Back down through Murray's Bend to complete 4 laps here. Still the same top 4. It is Pedro Rodriguez in second, Yuri Esposito and CJ Kent leading out the field, with Sean DeVore still leading the race. Now, Mount Panorama isn't just a racetrack, guys. It's a place built on legend. Every corner has a story, and for Sean DeVore, those stories are a reminder of what it takes to win here. The Dipper, for example, one of the most iconic corners in motorsports. It's tight, steep, and utterly unforgiving. One wrong move, and you're going to meet the wall. In fact, back in the 1980s, the great Dick Johnson famously wrecked his car there, and he was leading the Bathurst 1000, just one of the many drivers caught at that brutal drop. I tell you, I'm really impressed by how Sean DeVore is really handling right now, especially after having that wreck in the earlier race. Oh! Somebody had contact into the wall back there. Pretty hard contact, too. That would have been, looks like maybe, not really sure who that was. Have to look at it again. I heard a little more contact there, but still got Sean DeVore and Pedro Rodriguez close in tow. Looks like that might have been the number 1 car of CJ Kent that popped the wall back there. But it looks like he didn't lose really any position there, but man, it sure did. No, it was the number 4 car of Yuri Esposito that popped the wall back there. And that's going to definitely hurt him coming out of there. So it's going to be really difficult for him to make up that kind of time now. I tell you though, the chase, that's the fastest section on the course. And it was added back in 1987 after the tragic death of Mike Bergman, who lost his life crashing at over 170 miles an hour on Conrad Strait. I tell you what, though, all this history, that adds weight to the challenge. Winning at Bathurst isn't just about speed. It's about mastering a track that's humbled legends and crushed dreams. Now, if Sean can keep up, if he can keep up his composure and learn from those past mistakes, he's got a real shot at adding this one to his own story and kind of the mountain's own history. But he really does look good today, man. I'm telling you what, he's really locked in. I can tell that he really wants to get this victory today. That number 10 car, man, he's coming in hot, though. Got into the wall just a little bit, but it didn't really slow him down. Well, it did slow him down quite a bit. Sean DeVore has now opened up a little bit of a lead. He's got about a little over a second lead now, but like I said, a second lead can go away in a hurry as you come around through Skyline and back down through the Dipper. Any mistake here could ruin a man's race. Coming back down through the S's, down into the Dipper. That number 7 car comes through there smoothly again. But now we have a new car in second position. That number 4 car of Yuri Exposito is now in the second position. Now, I don't know if he's going to be quite as patient if he catches up with that number 7 car as Pedro Rodriguez has been, because Pedro Rodriguez, while he could catch up, he never really seemed all that interested in passing. So I'm not really sure what that number 4 car is going to do when and if he catches up with the number 7 car, because that Castrol number 7 is looking strong today. And another time through Murray's Bend, back towards the start-finish line, and that number 7 car still in the lead with the number 4 car of Yuri Exposito, Pedro Rodriguez, and CJ Kit still rounding out the top 4. They've actually opened up over 7.4 second lead over the number 5 position right now. So it's looking like this has turned into a 4-car battle, really. I mean, the numbers 5 and 6 position are back there, but they really don't seem to be making up any kind of real ground as they come up the mountain straight towards that number 4 car seems to be starting to put a little bit of pressure on that number 7 as they come up the mountain, headed up towards Skyline again. He's definitely got the draft right now, so he's making up some ground, but I'm telling you, man, this would be a really, really dangerous place to try to make a real pass. He is right on the bumper of that number 7 car. Got on the brakes a little early. I think he got a little closer than he had planned on coming down toward the dipper. But DeVore, man, makes a good turn down through the dipper and comes out not even slowed down a little bit. So he did a really good job down through there. But he's definitely having to start thinking about defending a little bit now, because that number 4 car is really starting to pile on the pressure. As they come down the Conrad Straight, that number 4 car putting pressure on him. Now that number 10 car of Pedro Rodriguez has dropped back just a little bit, so he may be dropping back to the point where he may not be able to catch back up, at least with the draft, unless these guys make a mistake or something. But if they get a little racy here, you could see him trying to get a little racy. That'll give him an opportunity to catch back up. But as they come around towards the last pair of S's, it's DeVore still leading the way with that number 4 car very close to him. So we'll see what he does here. I'm telling you, he's being pretty racy. And so I think he really seems to be a little bit impatient. As they come into Murray's Bend one more time, this will complete 7 laps. And that number 7 car still leading the race. He actually has led every lap up to this point.
Okay.
Comes through Hill Corner, up the mountain straight, looking strong, that number 7 car, but that number 4 car is tucked in right behind him, so just watch for it, because I can imagine that at any moment now he's going to pop out and try to make a pass somewhere. And he sticks his nose up inside, coming up towards the right-hander, and he comes alongside. Looks like he's going to make the pass coming through the bender. As it comes around the corner, he does take the lead. That number 7 car drops back for the first time into second place.
I'm trying to bump you, but all right, I'll pass. Pass.
As they top the mountain, coming up towards right at the top of the mountain, that number 4 car has actually pulled out just a little bit of a lead, with the number 10 car starting to pressure that Castrol number 7 as they head up the hill towards Skyline.
I was trying to work with you there.
Coming through Skyline down into down into the dipper, or headed close to the dipper, through the S's first, down into the dipper. That number 4 car makes a good turn, but that number 7 car of Sean DeVore, man, he is fast through there. So he's definitely hanging right in there, but he has let him open up just a little bit of a lead. He's only a couple tenths out front. He's 4 tenths, 3 tenths up front right now. That's really not much as they come into Conrod Straight. He's definitely going to be right on his bumper, so he could definitely still stay right in there, could make a pass anytime. And he jumps out coming down Conrod Straight. So he's wasting no time getting back to the lead. So it looks like we're trying to go 3 wide. That would be really deadly for these guys if they try to go 3 wide down through here into the final chicane. And they don't, but the number 7 car does get back in the lead. It actually puts him in a pretty good spot, opens up a little bit of a gap, about 8 tenths of a second gap on the 2 cars in the back. Put them in a position where they're having to be a little racy with each other. So that gave that number 7 car a little bit of a lead, so he can relax a little bit and focus on the front of the car instead of those rear view mirrors. Guys, this is turning out to be a very interesting race for these top 3 drivers. Normally, when you're on these races like this, there's 1 or 2 cars, man, that they just break away and you just don't see them again. But these guys are keeping it pretty close. I am very impressed with the skill of these 3 drivers up front today. Looks like they're being really cautious and yet holding that speed, keeping the lead out pretty much out of reach of the guys in 4th, 5th, and 6th, which are, like I said, they're still back there, but they're really not gaining much on them. The number 5 car right now is, well, number 4 car, sorry about that, is 5.8 seconds back, with CJ Kent in 6th at 6.3 seconds back, so they're actually losing some time as they come up the mountain. Yeah, Sean DeVore in that number 7 Castrol Mazda MX-5. He lost the lead for about 1 lap, but did not waste any time when they came back down through that Conrod Straight of making his pass and getting back to the lead. Yeah, I think that's where he felt like he made a mistake in the earlier race, where he lost it coming through the dipper, because when he came through the dipper there, the car in front of him kind of wiggled a little bit, and when it did, he touched his brake in a bad spot, got that rear end loose, man. When that rear end came out, the front end went right into the wall. There's really nothing he could do with it, and it ruined the front end of that car, and there was nothing he could do. He tried to get back on the track, but that car would not go, and wound up having to have it towed to the pits. And once it was in the pits, man, he was done, because it was like the last lap, and he wound up all the way back in 14th. And that right there, my friends, that is a hard pill to swallow when you're practically leading the race and you really have it set up to win it. When you come down that last final straightaway, there was really no way that car would have been able to stop him from passing, and that was really just a hard pill for him to swallow when it comes right down to it, because he knew he had that race pretty much wrapped up, had led nearly every lap, and it was really rough. So I know that he's sitting in here thinking that he does not want the same thing to happen again, and probably the best way to do that is not to be behind that car if they do that same mistake again. As they pass the start-finish line, looks like somebody back there lost it. Have to get a number on that for you. Don't know exactly which car that was, as we are really focusing on the top 3 positions, because, to be honest, this is a really close race. I did not expect it to be quite this close. I expected 1 or 2 cars, but not 3 cars to be this close together for this long. Because here at Mount Panorama, man, so much can happen in such a short period of time. It's really easy for 1 or 2 cars to pull away and you never ever see them again.
Oh man, yes.
But it looks like that number 10 car is getting a little bit racy with the number 4, and that's not going to do anything but help DeVore out as he's climbing the mountain up towards Skyline. And they're back down at the Dipper, and DeVore still leading the way as they exit the Dipper. And man, he is looking good right now. Not to brag on one driver, but he has not really made any mistakes. Now, these guys aren't the fastest cars out there, but his last lap was a 234.6, which if it were top split, that would just be a 8th, 9th, 10th place lap. But for this split, these guys are really running good. So I'm really enjoying this race. And to be honest, sometimes the better races aren't the fastest races. So these guys are keeping it really close and tight through the track. And really, I can't say anything bad about them, and they're being very respectful of each other and racing about as clean as you could expect to race. As they come in towards Murray's corner, that number 4 car steps out, makes the turn, makes the pass, and he pulls into the lead as they come across the start-finish line. So DeVore gives up the number 1 position as they come around through the start-finish line back towards Hell Corner. So we'll see what he does through here. So although he gave up the lead there, I don't think he's really too terribly worried about it, but I know he's still thinking about being behind somebody as they come down through the Dipper and through the S's down through there, because it's so easy for the car in front of you to make a mistake. If they make a mistake and you're right on their bumper, you're most likely going to be wrapped up in whatever they get into. These Mazdas may look small and like small, simple roadsters, but they've got a fascinating history, and they've earned their place as one of the most iconic sports cars ever built. Yeah, the Miata is known in North America, and it holds the Guinness World Book record as the best-selling two-seater sports car of all time, with over 1 million units sold since its debut in 1989. Now, what makes this MX-5 so special, it's perfect 50-50 weight distribution and lightweight design. Now, the Mazda engineers stuck to the old-school Jinba Ida, I can't even say that, philosophy. That's Japanese for horse and rider as one. The idea was to create a car that feels like the extension of the driver, responsive, balanced, and just plain fun to drive. Now, as they come back down through the Dipper, DeVore is right on that number 4 car of Yuri Exposito's rear end. So they come down back through the Dipper and almost into Forest Corner, or Forest Elbow, back to Conrad Straight. All 3 cars come through cleanly, and right now it is just 3 cars running together, with that number 4 position starting to drop back. In fact, he's dropped all the way back to 8.7 seconds back. That's Terry Howell in the number 5 Mazda. And DeVore just stays in, doesn't really get a run good enough to try to make a pass, but he sticks his nose in there, pushes his way over, but nope, does not make the pass right there, and may give up 3rd position, but he is right beside that number 10 car. So this is going to be interesting coming through Murray's Bend back toward the start-finish line. As they come around Murray's Bend, he makes a good clean turn, stays in tight, and is able to push it back into 2nd place. Now the final lap. Now this is where it's all going to matter as they come around Hell Corner up the mountain straight. So we're going to see what DeVore can do as they come up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend. Sorry about that. I had to look up the name. I forgot the name of it. So as they come up towards Griffin's Bend, it is the number 4 car taking a little lead. He goes inside. I think he was going to block, but the DeVore number 7 car was not really that close. So as they come around Griffin's Bend, looks like DeVore is right on his tail, but the number 10 car in the number 3 position is right on him. So there's still anything. Look, guys, anything is possible right now as they come around the corner. As they come through the cutting, it's still the number 4 car of Yuri Exposito leading the way with DeVore in 2nd. Now through Skyline and Reed Park. I think it's Reed Park. Reed Park? Yeah, that is Reed's Park right there. Sorry, guys. Little mistakes. Big mistakes, right? And down through the Skyline area and the S's, back through the Dipper one final time, cleanly through the Dipper, headed down towards Forest Elbow for the last time in this race. It's the number 7 car in the second position, with the number 4 of Yuri Exposito in first. As they come out, all 3 cars come out of Forest Elbow down the Conrad Straight cleanly, and we're going to see something here. I can guarantee you that neither of these cars in the back are going to just sit back and let this thing end the way it is. That number 7 car of Sean DeVore is starting to gain some ground on the number 4 car as they come down they're down through the chase and towards Murray's corner. DeVore takes the lead, pushes it out into the lead as they come around into the chase, keeps it inside the lead, get together just a little bit. Car gets a little squirrely, but he holds on to first position, or takes first position back as they come in towards Murray's corner for the final time. DeVore takes the final turn cleanly, gets on the curbing, but holds on to first position and takes the win with the number 4 car of Yuri Exposito and Pedro Rodriguez rounding out the top 3. What a fantastic race, guys. That was so much fun to watch. That was a great win for Sean DeVore. What a race.